Good evening to all of you, and thank you for joining us here on 13 Plus. I'm Mary Coleman. Across America, high school athletic associations are the gatekeepers of guidelines for young athletes. They wield an enormous amount of power and have the ability to strip away championship titles and dismantle high school sports careers for both students and coaches. Our national investigative team found defying those decisions usually requires a trip to court and a lawyer on your side. Here's national investigative reporter Chris Nakamoto.
Clamorous cheers, energized fans, and pure passion for athletics. Just 4 short years for athletes, unpredictable and unnerving at times. With adrenaline high, there's so much at stake. The emotions of winning under the Friday night lights are a showstopper across America. But playing sports with pride and purpose can be painful if an adult determines a teen strayed away from a fine line of high school athletic rules. In West Virginia, 3 coaches sidelined and sanctioned.
2 coaches at Nitro High School and 1 from Sherman High School won't be on the sidelines for Game 1 after the state's Secondary Schools Activities Commission hit both with sanctions for recruiting violations.
In Illinois, a high school put on probation for a year and forced to forfeit a game.
Well, major shakeup coming to the Nick 10 football standings tonight, with Hononegah having to forfeit their Week 3 win over Harlem due to an eligibility issue with one of their starters.
And in Alabama, a high school forced to forfeit 5 wins, losing a spot in the playoffs. The common denominator, their high school athletic associations said they broke their rules. But in each case, too, circumstances that might be a little deeper than they appear and not so black and white, from allegations of bullying to a medical issue. Each year, hundreds of young athletes find themselves on the sidelines after high school athletic associations say they ran afoul of the rules. And being benched can mean missing valuable game time in front of recruiters and simply the high school experience. Dr. Carissa Niehoff is the CEO of the National Federation of High School Athletic Associations. Her organization writes the rules for 18 interscholastic sports.
When transfers are driven for athletic purposes, we have now lost student-athlete identity. And it now becomes athlete, oh, and by the way, they're students. We'll figure that out. So the transfer rules that are in place for state associations are there to protect the academic growth of a student.
It's an out-of-body experience where everything you've worked for that whole season with that group of kids, you can just tell the moment it clicks. And that's pretty cool. It's really cool. In fact, it's bringing goosebumps to my arms right now. But those are the moments that's why you coach.
Kevin Hannon coached high school baseball for more than 2 decades in a rural portion of northern Indiana.
I'm most proud of the fact that, I see former players today and they'll still say, hey coach, and that's pretty important. That's a pretty valuable role to me.
He echoes Dr. Niehoff's sentiments about transfers and is vehemently opposed to them except for rare circumstances. He supports the rules so students can't go school shopping for winning teams. But Indiana recently agreed to study a proposal for a one-time free transfer for high school athletes.
So you're changing your child's dynamic because you don't like the baseball coach at the school you're at. I just think that's maybe that's a rash decision.
Investigate TV's analysis of state athletic associations' rules showed that in most states, the association's executive director is the sole arbiter of which transfers are legitimate. Depending on the state, the sit-out time can last for as long as a year. It is one of the most contentious issues in high school sports, with parents saying it should be their choice where their child attends school. Outside of a judge overturning a decision made by a high school athletic association in court, there's not much that can be done when there's a bad call. That's because our national investigative team found these state athletic associations wield unfettered power, serving as judge, jury, and investigators for high school sports.
This team is the best teams I mean, I hate to say that, but in all fairness, this was the best team Newman had ever seen.
So it was just like we was prepared for everything that was coming.
No one knows this harsh reality better than Isidore Newman's basketball team in New Orleans, which was stripped of its state titles, and Newman's coach suspended days before winter break last year over alleged recruiting violations.
What a Christmas present.
Lawyers say the school in Livingston had scant details about the decision that was made behind closed doors and no way to dispute the allegations. So Coach Livingston hired lawyers Gibby Andry and Adam Johnson.
Oh, and by the way, kids, every game that y'all were part of for the last 3 years, well, or longer than that, but at least 2 championships before, they're all losses now. You went from being a winner to now you're a loser.
Weeks later, a judge temporarily overturned the Athletic Association's decision, restoring Newman's wins and Livingston as coach, while the court process continues.
What needs to change is they need oversight. This is what happens when you have no oversight at all. You get constitutional violations. You get just acting without any concern for any consequence. You know, the most difficult thing is that not just the coaches, it's the kids that are taking a brunt.
During questioning in court, the director of the Louisiana High School Athletic Association admitted to violating its own policies by not giving Livingston or school leaders an opportunity to respond. No due process when they claim the school violated recruiting rules. You violated your own rules, though, correct? Yes, sir, Eddie Bonine, head of the LHSAA, responded. In another extraordinary admission, Executive Director Eddie Bonine admitted the decision was made based on illegible notes. The purported allegations, half of which cannot be read by the accused, cannot be read and understood. Can we agree on that? Yes, sir, Bonine replied.
The fact that you're able to say that those things in a row, and that all of that is true and legible in a transcript, is insane to me that we've gotten this far.
Associations around the country are responsible for enforcing guidelines for high school athletics in all 50 states and Washington, D.C. Our review of bylaws nationwide showed that few of the high school athletic associations are public entities. The rest are private or nonprofit organizations with little to no accountability to the public, even though they oversee public school sports.
Do you think a private entity has any business regulating public schools or public institutions?
I don't think that unchecked they should have that right, and that's what exists now.
The bylaws in at least half the states do not explicitly grant schools, students, or coaches due process before decisions are made. We uncovered the protocols in Louisiana are not unique, causing some states like North Carolina to claw back some power from their athletic association. Appeals are sent to the State Board of Education, which has overturned several decisions made by the High School Athletic Association since lawmakers increased oversight there in 2021. And even though the state now has more say, it doesn't give much public information about its cases, citing federal privacy laws. North Carolina is an outlier. The majority of state athletic associations operate with no state accountability.
It's a little fiefdom that they have where they have no oversight. They do not check and balance themselves, so someone else has to.
From Louisiana to Indiana, we brought the Newman example to the CEO of the National Federation of High School Athletic Associations.
That wouldn't feel good to the school. That would be dropping something in their lap. That certainly wouldn't feel good, especially if they were unaware. So I would encourage state associations as appropriate and to be respectful of the membership agreements with their schools.
She says the rules that are written by the NFHA are essentially a rubric that high schools follow for game rules. They choose their own governing policies. And while some applaud the rules and say they're there for a reason, others want legislative oversight in all 50 states to rein in some of the rigid rules and decisions.
You've lost your way. You're there for the kids. You're there to make sure that they can become the best that they can be as players, as teammates, as students. And so what you should be doing is figuring out how they can play versus priding yourself on figuring out how they can't.
And we will leave you with a live look from our Mount Bigelow camera. We hope your week is off to a great start, and we hope you'll also join us for 13 News Live at 10 for more of your news and weather. Until then, have a great night.